Give a bit of introduction as usual and get everyone, a few more coming in here. So one of the usual things that is the most difficult ones, one of the most difficult things to achieve in meditation is to just get the mind into the present moment. It's one of the hardest things to do. And once you do get there to that point, meditation usually tends to take off and go by itself. So that is the hardest part, really. And usually, if you get the beginnings right, as always, you start off just by relaxing, being at ease, and just being comfortable, and feeling relatively good, kind of neutralizing the body a little bit, if you like. And once you get those basics right, then the next step is to ensure that the mind actually is present, and that is probably the hardest part, because the mind tends to run off into the future and the past, fantasize about this and that, or either that, or you get tired, and all of these kind of things. So the tools that we need to get it into the present moment are some of the most useful tools that we have on the Buddhist path. And one of those tools is called, in the sutras, is called the Marana Sati, which means the recollection of death. And it can be very useful if you can use that. Some people find it very hard to use it because they find it frightening or difficult to deal with. But if you find that it is not such a difficult topic to focus on, it can be very powerful to bring you into the present moment. And there's a number of reasons why that is the case. And the first one is simply that all the future things that we tend to think about, they are not really real. And the reality that we always have with us, that we always carry with us, is really the present moment. This is really the only reality we have. And when you eventually, when you die, and when you have to say goodbye to this world, again you're faced with the present moment. And all this other stuff that we had in life are just kind of like a dream, something that is past. So the reality is here and now. This is the time. This is what we can actually experience, and everything else is false in a very real sense. And if you get a feeling for that, then it is much more easy to abandon all those thoughts about the future, about the past as well, for that matter, that tend to fade away. So that is one very strong reason. And another reason for the contemplation of death, what makes it powerful, is again the fact that when you eventually come to your deathbed, when eventually you're going to pass away from this world, the things that you are not going to think about are all those same things that you do think about in your meditation practice. Right? When we sit here, we think about the world, we think about the future, and a lot of that thinking comes from attachments, it comes from desires about what's going to happen in the future. It is based on defilements in a very real sense. But when you die, all of those things are going to be irrelevant. Why? Because they all have to do with this world. They are tied to what we're doing in this world. And it doesn't really matter anymore. When you die, you're going to pass on into the future. There's a different set of things that actually matters when you're dying. And what are those things? It is not that the things we do in this world are irrelevant. They are relevant, but they are relevant in a very different way from what we think they are normally. When we dream about things, think about things, it usually comes from some sort of defilement, as I said. But actually, what we do in this world is not important because of what it gives us, or how we can manipulate things, or how we can get things our own way. The way it is important is through the ethical content that we give those things. So it is how we deal with things in the world, whether it's in an ethical way or an unethical way. That is actually what matters. So if you fantasize, if you dream, or you think about the future, and you think about how to be virtuous, or how to live a good life, or how to be kind, and all these kind of things, then you're actually more on the right track. But that sort of thought is not as disruptive, because it is a positive kind of thought. It is an ethical thought. It's about how to live well, and that actually gives rise to usually a good state of mind. It's not such a problem. So if you think about the future in that way, it's actually okay, usually. And eventually you can give up even that. So the way we normally think about the future is basically irrelevant. It doesn't get you anywhere when eventually you pass on into the future all of that stuff will be gone, because it had to do with attachments and problems that actually only relate to this life. So when you look at the bigger picture of things, right, the slice of life we have right now is just this tiny slice, and then existence itself is this enormous expanse of time stretching into the future, going back into the past. And that is, at that point, you start to understand that all those little things in this life, actually, they are so insignificant. Why worry about those things? Now is the time instead to focus on what is right here, right now, which is all we can ever really have anyway. And of course, the third reason why this idea of contemplation of death also matters is that basically we don't know very much about the future at all. The future is always so uncertain. Death is definitely certain, one of the few certainties, but all the other stuff is just so uncertain. So get us back into the present moment. Don't waste time with all these uncertainties, all these things which just you have no idea, you can't really do anything about. And then by coming into the present moment now, it actually enables you to resolve those issues once they arrive in a much easier and much more wise way when the time actually is ripe for that. So if you remember all of these things, and remember, of course, also that death is always, it is so uncertain, right? Life is so uncertain. We often forget how uncertain it is and how unreliable it is. And the more you understand the degree to which it is unreliable, the more you understand the silliness of thinking about the future, thinking about things that may never arrive. And if they do arrive, they usually arrive in a very different way from what you expect anyway. So these are just some ideas on how to reflect and how to abandon some of those things that make meditation so difficult, so hard, so wow, all I can do is ever think about things and all this kind of stuff. So get into some of these, skillful means, or whatever you want to call them, and see if that can help you to sort things out a little bit. Okay, so let's give it a shot and see what happens. So, as always, just start off by feeling the body. When you close your eyes, your body becomes very prominent. Make sure you feel your body, that you are comfortable, that you are relaxed, that you are at ease, and that the body kind of becomes irrelevant in your meditation practice. And please always make sure that you take enough time to really relax the body and really feel at ease. If you do that, you get one of the first benefits of meditation practice, which means the sitting down, the sitting here, being in the present, is actually quite a beautiful experience, right in its own right. And just keep on focusing on the body here. Allow, allow the body to relax and be at ease. Remember that kindness is one of the most important words, one of the most important mental attitudes to have. And as you do that, as you're kind to yourself, kind to your body, kind to your environment, kind to everyone, you find you relax so beautifully. And as you do that, you find a certain delight in just sitting here, because everything is quite nice, everything is quite peaceful, and you're just sitting in a posture which is neither painful nor is there any indulgence. And as you practice in this way, there comes a point when you start to settle down, and the body feels at ease, but the mind still isn't 100% settled. Maybe moving a bit into the past and future, thinking about this and that. And that is the time to remind yourself how insignificant, how unimportant all of these things are. In the big picture of things, all of these things are utterly irrelevant. Allow them to disappear, allow them to fade away. See them for what they are. They are delusions, illusions, and non-reality. And now you have the chance to touch reality itself. life, they are so insignificant, so unimportant when you consider the instead future, everything We are now coming to the end of this meditation period. So before we stop, just ask yourself how you feel now. If you feel any more peaceful or better than when you started. And if you do, ask yourself why. Perceptions that you have given rise to. Okay, so are there any questions or comments or anything on the meditation today? Anything else? Anyone would like to say anything here? Okay, good. So let's see. Okay, so we have one question from somewhere, doesn't say where, somewhere in the world, somewhere in the universe. The following question has arisen. How do you know that your practice is going in the right direction? Okay, so how do you know this? And this is answered very nicely by the Buddha in the sutras, how you know that. And it's very simple. It's just that you know that the good states are increasing and the bad states are declining. Right? And you can take that in a single session of meditation if you like. In a single session, if there is a difference from when you started to where you end, you know that your meditation is going well. You feel more peaceful, right? You have more mindfulness, you have more gentleness inside, you have all those good qualities are going up, and the bad ones are going down. You feel less restless, you have less desires, and all the bad stuff is going down. So you can look at it in a single meditation session, but even more powerfully is actually to look at it over a span, over long periods of time, over months or years, and to see if there is a general movement in the right direction. And this then involves the whole practice, everything we do as Buddhists, including the virtue, the morality, the kindness, all the things we do, and meditation practice, and also the understanding of the Dhamma itself. All of those things come together. And then when you see that you're heading in the right direction, good states are improving, bad states are declining. And that's really all you have to know. And it's a very powerful way of thinking about life, because that's all that matters, right? If you know that you're heading in the right direction, that's all that really matters. Because if you are, one day you will actually have to achieve the goal as you keep on going that way. It's a very powerful, also very powerful way of making decisions in life. What are the things that will help you to move in that direction as well? Okay, so there you are. Anybody else wants to say anything here? Everybody else is happy, very happy, great, okay, good. So let's just pay respect to the Buddha Dhamma Sangha.